Hey, all, this is Sean with Stage 4 Ready for More, and I've got a very special guest today here, Sherri Robb. And Sherri has so graciously accepted our invitation to come on today. We're bringing in special guests from doctors to other cancer survivors, other people that are going through, the cancer battle mentally, physically, and all those things. And Sherri is going through all that and has been going through it for years. And she's been a spokesman for many different organizations. And I'm really excited that you're here today, Sherri. How are you
Thank
today?
you. Oh my gosh, I'm doing awesome and thank you for having me. That's exciting. I'm glad I met you like by phone, a few months
That's right.
ago.
That's
Yeah.
right. Sherri and
So,
I are from grew up in the same area in Washington State. She stayed, I moved out, and she knows some of my family up there and some
yes.
friends I went to in high school with.
Yep.
And so we just bumped into each other. And I'm so glad that we did, Sherri.
Me too. Me too. Yes.
So, but Sherri, I want to jump right into it with you.
Okay, let's do it. Let's do it.
Just to introduce everybody, please kind of feel free to share as little or as much about your background and so forth, and tell us who Sherri is.
Well, it's a long one. I'm
Right.
53 years old. Feel like a dinosaur sometimes, but then other times I feel super young. So it just depends on the day, I guess.
That's right.
But yeah, I was born and raised in Washington, lived here my whole entire life, moved out of state to California when I was 15 to 23. So I did get experience a little bit of outside of Washington, but did move back. And I have to say, it's been a blessing in a lot of ways because when I did start going through everything, all my old school friends and stuff were like the biggest supporters and biggest ralliers known to man, I swear.
Thank you for sharing about your background, and you're still. I know you've got cancer, right? And that's why you're
Yes,
here. But you're
I
still
do.
out there
Yeah.
working in a
Yes.
job and
I
so
always
forth. And
say I always say living with cancer.
that's right. That's right. I know
Yeah.
you've got another catchphrase I've heard you say. What is it? I'll
I have
live
a
till
lot, so it depends on which one it is.
yeah. Um, and then you're still working full time right
Oh,
now.
yeah.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yep. I
Yeah.
have never on my second diagnosis with stage 4, I've worked every single day unless it's a bone scan or an MRI or something for the day, which is usually just once a year or maybe every 6 months, but, for the most part, yeah, full time.
Okay. Okay. That means that you're a very tough warrior if you've worked every day.
I get
Um,
super sleepy. I'm working from home now because my work is amazing, and because I'm in sales, so I can work from home, which has been really, really nice. I went in the office a couple times this week though to
I
visit.
think post COVID has kind of helped too. A lot of people
Yep.
that we adapted this work
Yeah.
at home environment and kind of stuck for a lot of people. Thank
Yeah.
goodness, right? Walk us back, Sherri. I know since the first time that you kind of had cancer and you've been through several phases in your journey, but
Yes.
kind of walk us through, how you
Okay.
first found out and kind of some of those feelings. I can relate.
Yeah.
I'm right in the middle of what you're talking about, and
Yeah.
it's such a roller coaster. And for
It
those of
is.
you that are
Yes.
listening, I think Sherri is just your attitude and mentality is really inspiring me right now. To be honest with you, I mean,
Oh,
yeah,
you have to
just because
be.
I'm
I
in
feel
that.
like every cancer patient is positive. I don't really think I've met anybody that are not because who wants to say, I'm gonna, you know what I mean? I'm gonna die. This is you know what I mean? I think a
Yeah,
lot of people change their perception on it and they just, you just get into fight mode, right? And
yeah,
unfortunately, I'm still fighting, but I mean, I still stay as positive as I can. Oh, trust me, I have some bad days.
yeah. Right.
So
The
that
darkness
maybe
comes. It's
one of
hard to
those. But
describe, but you got to fight it off. So,
it does. It really
um,
does. It really
yeah,
does. And things like this, and those are the type of things that I actually went through when I was going through it. Like we had American Cancer Society come to the my kids' high school at the time, and it was the very first one that they were having there at the high school where they've done it, all around the United States, but they did it at our high school. And so I got 6 teams. They were called Breast Friends Forever. And
Got you.
We raised the most money. I know. We raised the most money, and it was like a 2-day event. So you stay the night there, and all the kids from the high school, you know what I mean? They're all there. They're all wearing their, for me, it was pink, but what
Right.
I love about American Cancer Society, it's not just breast cancer, it's all cancers.
Yeah.
So that's what I love, and that's what I stand behind is organizations like that. I've never done just the breast cancer only stuff. It's always been all because my whole family's been affected in some kind of way with all different forms of cancer. So I'm behind all that research for all of it, not just one. So that ended up being awesome. And then our senator flew a flag over Washington, D.C. at the time in honor of the relay. And at the end of the closing ceremonies, it was folded up military style with the military there. And I got called down and got the flag. I didn't know I was getting that. So that was super emotional. And then it just kind of started from there, the rallying of, it just went on to like uh speaking and for American Cancer Society and like coaches we had stuff like Coaches Against Cancer where they would
Yeah.
bring in survivors and people that could go, at a game and be announced and you get to go talk to kids in the locker room about it. And that was the other thing is like putting a face on it for kids, right? Like it's
Yeah.
not just an old person's disease. I mean, babies get it, little kids get it. There's no rhyme or reason to it of why we
Yep.
get it. But I always try to look at why. What did I learn from this? Like, why was I chosen for this? Not why me, but what are my learning things, right? And I
Yeah.
have to
Who can
say
we help
that
because of this, right?
yes, and you
Right?
do. You do
That's
do
right.
that.
We
I
can affect a lot of people for good.
I believe so with all my heart. I have women right now that, like I just got some bad news a couple weeks ago, but the only person I wanted to call was actually a woman that I've never even met. I met her through all of this and she has stage 4 also. Cause I always feel like even though my family and friends mean well, I wanted to talk to somebody that was going through it.
Sherry, I'm so glad you said that because it's, even though you might be surrounded by friends and family a lot or all the time, it's a different kind of isolation
It is.
that's hard to describe, you
It is
know?
very hard to describe
It's hard to
because
describe.
you feel like
Yeah.
sometimes when you're talking about it that you're being down or you know what I mean? Like you're
Yeah.
feeling sorry for yourself. That's why I don't like to talk about it or I don't like to make people sad or feel sad about it or go, oh, you know what I mean? It's like,
Right.
so I always try to stay upbeat about it, but
Yeah.
sometimes you have moments.
That's right. That's right. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yes.
How did this affect your family, your kids, loved ones?
I like this one a lot because it kind of goes back to what I was just saying about the reason why stuff happens, right? Um, Again, I was married for 20 years, and this is another thing that people don't talk about is a lot of marriages end because of cancer. Some spouses can't handle it. And unfortunately, mine couldn't, but that wasn't the only reason. I got divorced after 20 years, but um, it gave me the courage to end my marriage. And I don't want to go really into that, but um, it needed to happen. And so it took me getting better and saying, I don't want to live like this anymore. And I don't want to do this for my kids anymore. It made me stronger of being able to walk away from a bad situation in a marriage. And then my kids who were 13 and 16 at the time were able to see that and they actually that's all they talk about now and they're 25, 28 and 32 is oh my god my mom's so strong, right? Even though there wasn't was I was trying that's not what I was going for, but you just kind of go
Right.
through all those things. And yeah, the kids were emotional, but I think having like these Relay for Lives and going out talking about it and like my son was the one in high school at the time during these games and got to wear all the pink stuff for football and basketball and then mom's down on the sidelines waving a rally towel of pink,
Go, go, go,
and
go.
just all the
I love it.
things that were kind of really cool about it. I almost felt like I was a celebrity in our town of Arlington, to be honest.
Yeah, it's a
That's how
small
people made me
town. It's a
feel.
small town. Yeah.
Small towns, they rally.
When we say, how did it affect your family? You've shared, I think that's maybe strengthened your children to maybe,
Oh,
maybe
one
I'm putting words in your mouth, but
100,
so they can handle.
100%.
And that's kind of what my kids are going through right now. But I think overall, when they ask me how I'm doing, it's the same answer every time. Hey, I'm doing great. I'm even
Yes.
if I'm laying on the floor dead, I mean, I'm just wiped out or can't get out of
Yeah.
bed. It's
Yeah.
the same, right?
Yep.
And so
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that. As far as
Yeah.
like any of your friends or coworkers, did you kind of have some of that maybe awkwardness or they didn't know how to interact with you or did
No,
that
they
happen?
again, mine was also positive. It was again, I felt like a celebrity, even at my work. I mean, people
Yeah.
donated. I had like five, I think it was like five, almost 600 hours donated to me from people to
Oh
take
my
time
gosh.
off. Yeah, it was
How about the food?
crazy.
Did you get all kinds of food brought over and
Yes,
yeah,
yes, all the
yeah,
things.
all the
Yeah, and then
casseroles and yeah.
all of it. And then what had happened, there was a couple moms of my son's friends that were very young in their early 30s, two of them to be exact, that got breast cancer right after me. I and one I didn't know very well, and actually it was written in the paper that I said I stalked her because I said that. I said those words. I'm like, I stalked her because I was like, I got to be her friend. I got to go talk to this woman and tell her everything's going to be okay. Yeah, I just wanted to reach out to her so bad and let her know she was gonna be okay. And
Oh yeah.
so, um, yeah, but we ended up being very close. So afterwards, but yeah, there was again 2 moms, and to this day, they're both doing really, really well.
And they needed you at that time, it sounds like.
Yeah, one woman I gave, like, all my journals to. I kinda wish I didn't now, but trying to go back to read all those, but there was, like, 3 journals that I wrote through everything, and I gave them to one lady just to she would see and hear my story, I guess.
My mom found out up at Arlington Hospital that she had cancer. She was 33. She passed when she was 39.
Oh my god.
Up in Mount Vernon at Skagit Valley. But the rallying cry of our friends, our family, of small town America was just
Yeah,
overwhelming, and we live right there on French Street.
I know where
And
French Street is.
people, that's right. And everybody stopped by, and it was just
Yeah.
kind of a hub for people to come by.
What kind of cancer
And
did she have?
she had Hodgkin's
Oh,
at
lymphoma.
first. And
Mhm.
yes, and then that went into remission, then later ovarian, and that's ultimately what,
Yeah.
got her to pass away. But I remember, when I was a kid, that I think prepared me for this now to be stronger for my
Oh,
kids.
yeah.
And it sounds like you've had a similar overall experience. So
Yes,
yeah,
100%. Yeah, it's again,
wonderful.
to me looking back at it now, I'm glad it all happened. I always tell everybody I actually was glad that I got cancer because
Isn't that the
I got
craziest thing to say though?
it
I
is a
mean,
crazy thing to
seriously.
say, but I
Yeah,
really do mean that because I got rid of a lot of toxic things in my life that I
yeah,
no longer served me. And now, ever since then, to this day, I only have people in my life that are solid and and you know what I mean, that lift me up. So,
yeah. And how we
yeah,
spend our time. I
yep,
did a lot of things recreationally, whatever, that,
yep,
I always thought I'm doing them for my family, but really at the end of the day, I was serving myself. And so it's forced me to be focused on what's really important, I think, too.
oh, 100%. Yes,
Yes.
yes,
Yeah, the physical side effects of the pills, the procedures, the, radiation, the chemo. I mean, there's 100 different things that we could talk about as far as how it just beats up your body. But to me, I
it
can get
does.
through that if my heart's right and if my brain's right, if I'm solid mentally. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to even talk
Yep,
about right now because I'm still kind of going
I
through
know,
it. But on
I
the
know.
days when it seems like I hurt more physically, those are the days when I'm kind of mentally having a harder day. So
Well, yeah, because
sorry.
it gets more real, right? You're thinking more of it of
Yeah. When you had those dark times that would come, maybe for those of the folks that are watching this video, and I hope this finds them. But what are some things that, when you were going through the worst of it that would help you kind of come out of those dark places, Sherri?
It's kind of been different because, again, been battling since 2009, and back then was way different. I actually, even though it hadn't metastasized back then, I was actually in a darker place back then because of all the treatments that I, like you just said, all the treatments that I went through. And of course, when you lose your hair, you really look like the cancer patient then,
Yeah.
and super sick. And it was a grueling year. And again, my kids were younger. I was like, oh my God, I'm not going to be here for them to see, watch them graduate or watch them have babies, like all the things that go through a young mom's, mind at the time. Um, I'm not sure. I just feel like the support of everybody got me through, and my kids gave me that strength. But it was a different mentality than it is now, because now at 53, but when I was diagnosed again at stage 4 in 2018, I actually, I know this sounds really bad, but I haven't even cried yet. And I've been mad, I've been sad, but I haven't like broke
Right.
down about it. And I feel like because my mind is in a different space of like, my kids are grown. They're so good. They're financially, they take care of themselves. They are all just really good, in a good place. I have solid friends, solid family. Like, I feel like if I was to pass away today, I, I feel like everything's good, if that
In
makes sense.
order.
Like, I don't,
Yeah. And
yeah, I
yeah.
mean, again, I do, like 2 weeks ago, I got some bad news on an MRI. I have 2 new spots in my pelvic area. I also
I'm
had a
so sorry
non-displaced,
to hear that.
it had a non-displaced fracture. I was having trouble walking, and I actually didn't take it seriously because it wasn't pain. It was like I just couldn't put pressure on the leg. So I was just kind of
Yeah.
joking, going, "Oh, I pulled something," right? Like, I didn't think anything of it. But then my oncologist was like, "Oh, it's been 3 weeks. That sounds almost like a fracture." And I'm like,
What's non-displaced mean for those of us that haven't
non-displaced,
heard that
non-displaced meaning it wasn't in pieces. It was just a
kind of?
hairline, right? Like, it heals itself. It was also scary because that's where all my tumors are at. All my tumors right now are in my left pelvic and my left hip,
Okay.
and two on my spine.
That's exactly what I have right now. Almost identical in those same areas. And it's
Yeah.
hard. It's a rough place to have tumors in those areas.
It is, because then your
Yeah.
fear is, again, is it going to paralyze me eventually? Am I going
Yeah.
to, you know what I
Well,
mean? Like, exactly.
I'm having a tough time with mobility and walking, but they're working on
Yeah.
getting those shrunk up so that I can
Yes.
get some of that back. So I
Yeah.
feel you and I hear you. I didn't realize that, Sherri, until just now that you're going through that.
And
Yeah.
then also was told on the same day that the chemo's not working anymore. So, because the tumor markers have been going up and it's not working, because obviously the MRI confirmed that there's new spots, and then the chemo is just it. I was on it for 3 years and it's kept me stable, but it does, the new pills that are out tend to, I was told that from the beginning, that your body gets used to it, you know what I mean? And then the cancers are
Yeah.
so smart, they just know how to work around it or whatever. And then my oncologist told me that um, she wanted me to get my blood work done 2 weeks ago to see if the cancer is actually, if it's mutating. So, like, if it's changing characteristics, if that's why the chemo's not working. So I just got those results back, actually a few days ago, and I do have 2 new mutations in those cancer cells. And even though that sounds super bad, it's actually positive, because for breast cancer anyway, there's actually new treatments out to fight those new mutations. But now the battle's on, of in my head, of I have to take something new.
This is something I've wanted to ask you as well. But for me, some of the big fears that I have as a cancer patient is, because when you get into stage 4, you get in what's classified, let me put my cane down, in palliative care, right?
Yeah.
So doctors, insurance companies put you into palliative care, which means, hey, we're going to keep you comfortable till you die. And you said something when we first met, I'm going to live until I live, or I'm going to, what
I'm
did
going
you
to
say
live
to me?
until I can't.
Yeah, okay, that's what it was, right? Which I love that outlook,
That's right. I'm
right?
living until I can't.
And I'm just like, hey, bring it on. I can take it. I'm yoked with my God. I'm yoked with my
Yes.
friends and family, and got that support system. But I love that saying. And but it's hard because we're battling against finance big multi-billion dollar companies that say, look, we're not going to approve that treatment, even though, yeah, it would help you because you're stage 4.
Right.
And I don't know if you've ran into this much, but what are some tips and general advice you'd give other cancer patients in general with just crazy crap that comes out of nowhere like this? I've had to fight the insurance company on stuff, and I've won some of those battles and I've lost some of those battles,
Well, a lot of people don't know, like for instance, like my cancer pill that I was on was through Pfizer. It was called Ibrance, and it's commercials all over for it, right? But it's a $12,000 a
Yep.
month pill.
I'm
And
on one
so
that's 17 grand a month called Limparza.
yeah,
It's crazy.
to me that's just insane. But what
Yep.
people don't know is you can call like for instance, you can, like I called Pfizer, and a lot of these companies have other ways and means that you can pay and to get you the treatment that you need. But people don't know that. They don't want to do the extra paperwork, or they just don't know that they can actually go through the company and get some benefits from it. So,
Yeah.
and you don't have to be poor, because I actually make good money. So it's not that, but they do help you to get it. They
Well,
want you
they
to
they could use
get
us as like a living, breathing commercial in a sense
it.
too, because it kind of happened to me as well with AstraZeneca, who I'm actually super grateful for. I know big
Yes.
pharma gets trashed a lot, but
I wanted
there's a
I
lot of
wanted to talk
good.
about that. I'm glad you said that, because when
Yeah.
everybody was like, "Oh, Pfizer this, Pfizer that," during COVID, which
Woo!
that's a totally different subject, but
Right, right,
I'm
right.
like, Pfizer kept me alive, people. Like 3
Amen.
years, Pfizer kept me alive. I was stable being on a Pfizer drug.
Yeah,
So,
I want to kind of put that into context with you, and
mhm.
I'm glad you shared that. That's really important.
People just don't know they have those that you can do this. I mean, call the
That's right.
company. They will work with you. Almost every single one of them do. People don't know, and they're not aware of all this good stuff that's out there. And keep in mind, my other doctor is a naturopathic doctor. So I do
Oh,
both. I believe in both. I feel like if you're healthy, putting stuff in your body and staying active, or even mentally, right? I mean, all of it works together. It is a mind, body,
yes,
soul thing, and it all coincides together. And but I'm not against, like I have a cousin who's stage 4 breast cancer. She's in Mexico right now doing all the natural treatments because she doesn't want to do chemo. She's been only doing holistic medicine, which I don't judge her for. She doesn't judge me for doing what I do. I
that's
mean,
right.
it's our own journey, it's our own path that we take. And I always am checking on her on how she's doing, in case I have to go down that road, even though I do a lot of what she does already, just from what I do put in my body of
Yeah,
natural stuff. But I don't go all in on thinking that's going to cure me, because I don't,
right.
at our stage 4s, there is no cure. It's living with it. Does miracles happen? Yes, they do.
Amazing commentary here, and I wanted to talk a little bit more about, because I know you gave me some really really good tips right when we first met about nutrition
Yeah.
and some of these holistic things, and that we could spend a whole day long symposium on this. I know, so that's not what I want to do. But what I'm saying is that I went through kind of pre-cachexia, which is the wasting syndrome. Your body is fighting cancer. So it speeds up your metabolism, kind of in layman's terms, and it eats away at your
Yeah.
body. Because I had large tumor masses, like 7 centimeters, 5 centimeters. I mean, big like apples, or, on my hips and pelvic area and spine. So I lost 40 pounds, and so now I
Yeah.
have to just eat, 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 and to where I've offset that now, but I have to literally eat from the time that I wake up till literally the time I fall asleep. Did you ever have
Right.
times where you were having serious weight loss or nutritional deficits that you had to deal with when you were going through treatments and so forth? And any general tips for people on the nutrition side?
I did in 2009 really bad. I lost a lot of weight. But
Yeah,
I was doing the hardcore chemo and radiation, and I lost a ton of weight then. And it was hard getting anything down. And that's when I started doing the smoothies with, all the vegetables, and just to try to get it in you somehow, because you don't want to eat. that's what sucks. But you got to make yourself and you got to move. Like you've got to move your body as well, even though you're so tired. Like even now, I remember when I was at work, like when I was first diagnosed with stage 4 in 2018, all I kept saying was, I'm so tired. I'm so tired. I'd be at work going, everybody like, how are you doing? I'm tired. I'm tired. I was tired of saying I'm tired. And I remember my CEO, I was in aerospace at the time, and she's like, you're the most energetic, tired person I've ever met in my life. And I'm like, no, I'm tired.
It comes in waves, doesn't it?
It
You'll
does
have a
come in
good
waves.
day, you have a
Yeah.
bad day. There's certain times of the day that you have to push through.
Especially with stage 4 is where it gets scary because that kind of fatigue, what I try to explain to people is it's not your typical exhaustion. It's eh,
Yeah,
the only way I could explain it, it almost sounds kind of morbid a little bit, but I'm like, I feel like my soul's tired. Like I'm deeply tired. Like I feel like my soul is super tired. Like I feel
yeah.
like I could just close my eyes and never wake up sometimes. Like that's how tired I feel.
Yes, and that's when we go back to a question or two ago, which is that mental battle when that darkness comes, and we at that point, that's when we really do some real soul searching
Oh
and
yeah.
digging and pull out of it, right? I mean, for
Yeah.
me, same thing.
Yeah.
I've had that to where, and I don't share it with my family. I
No,
don't want to bring them into that, you
I'm
know.
almost glad that I live alone because of that. Because there's been some serious dark places. Like 2 weeks ago, when I found out that, like for instance, all my stuff, I was supposed to be going to my best friend who I've been best friends with since fourth grade, her birthday party, and I got all the news by my chart without even talking to my doctor. And then,
Uh,
but I had already known the day before that the chemo wasn't working, so that I found out the new tumors and stuff. But I just sat here kind of just like what we are sitting here looking at my chart,
mhm.
and for the first time, again, I didn't cry, but I literally had an out of body moment of like, oh my god, this is going to take me. Are you kidding me? Like this is real. And I didn't know who to call. I called dad.
Right.
I'm like, dad, uh I'm having a mental breakdown right now. He goes, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to come and get you? I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, you know what? No, because I live 10 minutes from my dad. I'm like, pour me a glass of wine because I'm heading there. And if I don't show up in 15, come looking for me.
I'll bet you your dad would say, Sherry, call me anytime as much as you want to, because that's what dads do, right?
Yes.
Yes. And
But
here
I
you
go,
are smiling and getting through all this. So you obviously made it through that time, and here you are today, right?
yeah, that one. And when I got to the house too, I sat down and I took a sip of wine and I just started, I don't even know what happened, but I started yelling. I was actually like, I was mad. And I was just like, this is just all beep, beep, beep. Like I was
Right.
just like going off. I don't even know what I was saying. Just all this stuff started coming out of my mouth. And my poor dad was like, his eyes are watering. And he's like, Sherry, oh my God, you've always been so positive. Like you got to snap out of this. And I'm like, no, I'm not snapping out of this. I need to feel this. I need to be mad. I
That's
need to
right.
be
That's
sad.
right.
I need to be all these things. Like, I'm tired of being positive Pollyanny for you and for everybody else. I'm like, I need to feel this stuff, dad. And he got it, right? And the good news is I did that for 2 days and then I did snap out of it. But I did need to go there for a minute because I usually don't. And I'm like, I can't just keep being in denial about it either.
It's healthy. I think that's a healthy thing that
Yeah.
we have to get through. And
Yeah.
I don't know any psychobabble talk that would help
I
any
don't
of our
know. I
audience.
know.
I just don't know, other than that sometimes we have to pass through whatever the challenge is. There's no going around. We have to
No. No.
somehow toughen up. And I know that I'm not even trying to sound cliche here or to bypass these incredibly hard feelings that we're going through.
Yeah.
But my gosh, we want to live for ourselves. We want to live for our family. And, I've thought, this could get me too. And we don't know
Yeah.
how long we have here on this earth,
And
but
nobody does, right? And that's what
that's
everyone
right.
says. And that's the other hard part with people is they don't know what to say because
That's
they're going to look at me right now and go, we don't got that. Like, you know what I
right.
mean? They're in denial themselves. And
Yeah.
like another perfect example of my best friend. I mean, I love her to pieces, but she's in denial too, up until it was last September on my birthday, where I kept saying, my hip's hurting, my hip's hurting. And I can't walk on it. Like it hurts because it would act up, right? Because there's
Yeah.
tumors in there. And she's like, oh, just stretch it out. And I go,
No,
you can't just stretch it out. There's tumors in there.
I've heard that one too. Hey, let's go on a walk and loosen you up, because I would be in the
No.
gym 4 or 5 times a week until this thing hit. And that was kind of normal. Okay, I'm kind of feeling tight from a workout or
Yeah.
something like that. And hey, let's jump in the hot tub for a minute, or let's go stretch it out, or go on a walk to loosen up.
Yeah.
That's not some of the options that we have anymore,
No,
unfortunately.
so I kind of had to yell at her, and then she started crying, and I go, and she's like, "Oh my God, she goes, this just hit me." And I'm like,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah,
That's the
yeah.
reality of it. And people just need to understand that, because I've accepted it, and I feel like everybody else does. And it's not to go, oh, poor me. No, it's just, you got to prepare them too. Like,
That's
this
right.
is, but at the same time, I mean, I ain't going out without, warrior style either.
Right.
So,
I love that. I love that about you. And ever since I've known
well,
you now
right
for
here, like, you
months,
have that thing up there. There's my tattoo, and it says warrior right on
hold that up just again. I'll have my video guy get a close up of that one. We'll bring it, we'll enlarge it. I love it. Thank you. Any final thoughts for somebody that maybe has just found out that they've got a serious cancer, or maybe you're talking to their family member?
Family and friends mean well. They really do. Those are our biggest support systems. But I highly encourage anybody that's newly diagnosed and just battling themselves is to find like-minded people of going through it too, because those are my people. Like, again,
Mhm.
I don't even know some of these women, like the blogs. They have so many blogs on the internet, that support groups that you can go, where people are talking about the same treatments that you're on, the same surgeries that you've done. Like, everybody, I feel like those are the people that it's, I feel like that helps you. That helps your soul when you're actually talking to people that are going through what you're going through, because you get it. Like, you get me, I get you, right? And that is so important. And even if you don't know them, you become like there's two women I want to know, like I need to go meet them, just because they're my, again, like 2 weeks ago, yeah, I went to dad's, yeah, I had some wine, but this lady Carol, hi Carol, if she watches this, I love her, like, I called her, that's who I wanted to talk to.
These groups can be like instant soulmates, as corny as that
Yes,
sounds.
it is,
Yeah,
because your soul gets my soul right now. Like, it's just what it is. I mean,
that's
again,
right.
it's no offense or to anybody that's our close family. It's, I hope they never have to understand this, right? You
That's
don't
right.
want them to understand this. It's so nice to be able to call on those people on those dark times to continue to walk through, walk us through
That's right.
with the understanding of it.
That's so wonderful, Sherri. I want to again thank you so much for spending your time here today. I know you've
You're
got an
welcome.
incredibly busy work schedule and your personal life. So again, I know you kind of pulled some strings to be here today. And everybody that's here on this channel, Stage 4 Ready for More, please like and subscribe. Come back. We do these interviews often. And then if you want to hear more about my life and what kind of I'm going through as well, and other causes that I'm supporting, please come back. Again, Sherri, I can't thank you enough.
You're so
You
welcome.
guys, yes. And she is just the definition of what we would call a cancer warrior, a
Oh,
survivor, soulmate of many, many people that have gone through this. And again, thank you so much, Sherri, for coming
oh, you're
today.
so welcome.